Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm here to talk about books. So today we will be doing my Q3 wrap up. It is the months of July, August, and September. It is now October, so of course I have all of my Halloween, like fall-ish decor out, and I'm very, very excited for fall this year. Even though I live in Arizona and we don't really get fall, I'm in the spirit. I've got my coffee here, which is pumpkin spice. Hate me if you're gonna hate me, but I do love pumpkin spice. We also have this scent. This candle is not used yet, but I do have it in my wax formers throughout the house, and it is this warm cider and cinnamon that I got at Target. I am obsessed. I am loving this. If that's the fall that we're gonna get this year, I am perfectly fine with that. First, we will be going over my stats from the last 3 months. If you're not interested in numbers and stats and everything, this video will be timestamped so you can jump ahead. But for those who like numbers, my overall for the last 3 months was actually higher than what it has been throughout the rest of the year. Part of that was because I took a couple of vacations these months, so I did have time to like read books and do what I wanted to do. So of course the reading was a teensy bit higher than usual. I am not on track to be meeting my goal by the end of the year of 100 books read, and that is perfectly okay with me. I am not somebody who is going to beat myself up over a yearly goal. I just want to enjoy the books that I read. So I read 10 books in July, I read 8 in August, and I read 10 in September. That is totaling 28 books in Q3 of 2025, and I'm pretty happy with that. The page count is 7,732. And then here is my genre breakdown. Some books did fit in multiple categories. So I read 11 thrillers, 12 horror books, which usually the thriller is higher than the horror, so that was interesting to me. 1 cozy mystery, 4 romance, 1 lit fic, and 4 magical realism. Out of these 7 audiobooks that are listed here, 6 of them were in tandem with the physical and the Kindle, but I do love to pick up an audiobook when I need to get back into my book, but I don't have the time. One of those was solely audiobook, which is pretty rare for me. But once again, my top format is Kindle because I do really love my Kindle. So my star ratings, we've got 1, 2, 3 quarter-star ratings. That is a little bit picky, but whatever. I rated 9 books 4 stars, which is actually very surprising. That means that I had a good quarter. My average rating is 3.3, which is not bad, but 9 4-star books, I love that. So with these quarterly wrap-ups, I decided that I'm not going to be talking about all of the books I read. I'm just going to be talking about ones that stand out. The 3 different categories that I selected for this quarter's wrap-up would be highest rated, most disappointing, and most surprising. The category that we're going to be starting off with is highest rated, and the first book that we will be talking about is The Last Party by A.R. Torre. I really like A.R. Torre's writing. She's one of those authors now that I'm gravitating towards when I see her books. This one is one of her more recently published books. This one was published in 2024, and then I believe she has one more that was published after that this year. This book was so good. I rated this book 4.5 stars. This book follows a main character named Perla, who is a wife and a mother to, I believe, an 11-year-old daughter. But behind her very happy, perfect home life that everyone else sees, inside, this woman is a complete psychopath. She is very cold and calculated. She is obsessed with this serial killer who had murdered his daughter and his daughter's friends at a slumber party sleepover for his daughter, and he is serving his time in prison. In her free time, Perla loves to listen to like true crime podcasts and research these killings. She is so obsessed that she knows every single detail. And while I know that there are people out there that are like that, and it's completely normal, and people have a fascination with serial killers, I certainly do, We do not idolize them like Perla does. In fact, she is so far gone obsessed with this man that she is planning a copycat killing with her own daughter. So since she knows all the details to a T, she is planning a slumber party for her daughter's birthday, who is turning the same age that the serial killer's daughter was turning when he committed the crime about 20-ish years earlier. This main character is so fucked up in the head. Like, being in her headspace throughout the entirety of this book, I was completely shocked. I'm like, she has no empathy, no remorse. She does not give a flying fuck what happens to her family as long as her personal desires are played out. And that is just insane. Just like most of A.R. Torre's other books, the twists in this one completely blindsided me. I did not see them coming. My jaw was on the floor while I was reading it. And I finished this book and went, what the fuck did I just read? Literally, it's in a vlog. If you are looking for a book that's going to absolutely shock you and you love reading morally gray characters, then this is exactly the book that you are looking for. So I have previously read 5 of her books, and this one would be number 6, and so far I'm really liking what I'm reading. The book that she published in 2025 called A Happy Marriage, I think it is, I do plan on picking that one up in October. So we'll see. I'm a little bit nervous for that one because one of the main characters is a detective and the other main character is a serial killer and they are married. So I don't know how that's gonna go. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see what A.R. Torre can do with that trope. The second book in our highest rated category is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. When I do read a romance, I usually expect them to be really cushy and soft and cute. And sometimes that's what I'm looking for if I want like a palate cleanser. But when I say I like to read romance, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The very first chapter that you read is when they're in college and he's proposing to her, they're getting engaged, they're so in love, and they live in this crappy little apartment together, making the most of what they have. And then in the next chapter, chapter 2, you jump ahead about 12-ish years and they are divorced. They have 2 children together, and they also own and run a restaurant together. They're making the best out of the situation, again, but completely different. They're just trying to make sure that they raise their children together, that their children grow up to know love, and that their divorce doesn't put a damper on the lives of their children and the success of their business. It seems to be going really well. They don't live together, they live separately, and the kids go back and forth. But you know, with how in love that they were in that first chapter, something horrible must have happened between these characters, and you get snippets of it throughout the beginning of the book until it leads up to when you find out what actually happens. All of the characters in this book, chef's kiss. Loved them. I don't know for sure about telling you guys what happens between them because I feel like it could be a spoiler. If you go into this one blind, it's way better than if you go in knowing what you're in for. I did go into it blind. And when I tell you, when shit started hitting the fan and we started getting an idea of kind of what was going on, like, I really tabbed this book. I loved it. I highlighted it. This author does have some trigger warnings in here. This book deals with very heavy, sad topics, raw, unfiltered emotion. And if that's something that interests you, I'd say pick it up. But if you're somebody who's sensitive to certain things, definitely look up your trigger warnings. But regardless, one minute I was laughing at this book, the next minute I was swooning, the next I'm bawling my eyes out. Like, the emotions in this book were all over the place. These tabs are color coded, and I'm not going to tell you guys what the colors mean, but you can see my range of emotions here. So yeah. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, I did end up giving 5 glowing stars. So the next category that we will be getting into will be most disappointing. I do have 2 books for this category as well. The first one being Mayfly by CJ Lee. So I went into this book with high expectations. I know that a lot of people were loving it. A lot of people were talking about it very highly. The cover looks fantastic. I was like, this is gonna be a good time. But if you are living under a rock and you don't know what this book is about, this one is about a main character named Maeve, who works at a redacted amusement park that is very popular. We all know it. And she works there as a princess. She plays an ice princess, and then her best friend Kate works there as well, and she works as her princess sister. Outside of their family-friendly costumes, these two do lots of drugs, lots of very questionable things. They like to hang out at strip clubs and get into some trouble. And then Maeve has this darker side to her, this side that has some very concerning desires and fantasies. People are often saying that this is like American Psycho, but for the girlies, and I can definitely see where that comparison is coming from, especially when you get to some parts of the book. It quite literally name drops American Psycho in the book. So that comparison, I feel, is very valid. This main character is obviously inspired by Patrick Bateman himself. She is a sexually charged psychopath. She loves watching pornography in her free time, doing lots of drugs. She will be having a very normal interaction with somebody, and then she will be, in her inner monologue, fantasizing about how she would murder them. But at the same time, just like Patrick Bateman, she does crave human connection. She just has a really hard time facilitating that, and things tend to go awry. I also feel like this character is very full of herself, just like Patrick Bateman. Like how that character is, you know, detailing every single thing about his skincare routine and like his business card. And when he is in a public setting with other people, there's always this baseline of like competition and I need to be the best in the room, and like nobody is better than me. I'm the best person in the world. That's very much Maeve, in my opinion. That's how I read her, at least. And then on top of all of that, she has an extremely unhealthy codependency on the people that she is able to make these close connections with. Like her grandmother, she doesn't really have a relationship with her parents, but she lives with her grandmother, who is dying and she's in a coma. Her best friend Kate, the one that works as her princess sister at the amusement park, she is an aspiring actress and she's starting to make her big break in the world. And Maeve is like, oh shit, so I'm gonna estimate, they told me that my grandma has about 3 years left to live. I'm gonna estimate it's gonna take Kate about 3 years to blow up and like be a star. So I've got 3 years left with everything that I love. And after that, like I'm just gonna be alone and left here to rot and die. Like that's how she feels. So yeah, her codependency on the people that she loves is quite unhealthy and bothersome, especially when you know how like fucked up she is in the head. If you do like this book, I'm happy for you. I really am. I wish I could have liked it, but I'd be lying to myself if I said that I did. I gave it 2.5 stars. Every time that I would go to pick it up, I would just have this feeling of like, okay, I had to try really hard not to get distracted while reading this because it is psychotic. It's not that there's nothing going on. There's too much going on. Like, it was insane. And I was overwhelmed, but at the same time, underwhelmed. It was a lot to deal with. And also, the other problem that I had with this is that the tone was constantly changing. It would go from being extremely gruesome, extremely this weird erotic horror type thing, and then it would turn into like kind of cartoony. Like this character is obsessed with Halloween and she would just be like playing a Halloween playlist, similar to Patrick Bateman with his music, but hers is Halloween music. And it would just like turn kind of cartoony and be weird, and I'm like, what? Like, it's a very jarring change in tone, and it happened throughout the whole book. Like, it was always flipping around. I didn't know how to feel about it. I was like, am I even reading the same book? Did I pick up the same book? No, yeah, I did. It's changing constantly. So the other book that I'm going to talk about that was very disappointing to me is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. Our main character's name is Alex and her best friend's name is Ren. They had an ugly falling out a couple of years ago and our girl is just going through it. She's got the stinkiest case of writer's block. She is not able to get any stories written, anything done. She just stares at the page. And a lot of that has to do with just her life spiraling downward. Like, she's kind of broke. She doesn't have her best friend anymore. She is just getting the shit end of the stick in life right now. And then one day, she gets an invitation that her little heart could only dream of. Alex receives an invitation to go on a month-long writer's retreat by her idol, Rosa Vallow. Rosa is the inspiration behind Alex's writing. She's the reason that she's a writer. And now she's getting an exclusive invitation to go stay at Rosa's renowned estate that is not only lavish and beautiful and there's a lot of money put into it, but it's also rumored to be haunted. This exclusive invitation is given to only 5 young women who are authors, and one of those other women just so happens to be her old bestie girl, Ren. She cannot let Ren ruin her dream. So she accepts, and when they get there, they find out that Rosa actually has some other plans for them to write a full-length novel during the duration of their stay with daily page count quotas that they have to meet, print, and turn into Rosa at the end of the day. The author who Rosa decides has the best book will win a 7-figure publishing deal and will also get a lump sum cash reward at the end of the retreat. So what starts out as an author's perfect getaway turns into a heart-racing competition, and of course, because this is a thriller, it does not end there. There are twists, there are questionable motives, somebody goes missing, and all hell breaks loose in this mansion. The reason that I am including this one in my most disappointing is because I think the hype behind this book is what made it so disappointing for me. The premise sounded so good, and I saw nothing but glowing rave reviews for this book before I read it, so my expectations were pretty high. I was expecting a 5-star, maybe a 4-star, but not a 2. I really struggled getting through like the first 80% of this book, and it got to the point where I was almost ready to DNF it, and then there was a twist that had me stop and go, wait a minute, what? And so I kept reading, and that twist alone, like that whole idea and the new dynamic of this book that I was not expecting, was not enough to make up for how much the rest of the book bored me. I was like, it took me this long to get into this book and I'm nearly done with it. Like, I've been reading this for a couple of days now. I'm just flipping through the pages. There was excerpts from the book that Alex was writing, and I honestly wanted to just skim those. Like, I had zero interest in them. So the whole book within a book thing did not get me here. I was really bored of it. The other thing too is that there was just so much backstory on the tension and what was going on between these 2 girls. I expected more, but when you find out what happened with them, I was like, okay, like, that's what you guys are all fucked up about? So with the book surrounding so much of like their drama and their bullshit, I was wondering to myself, like, is this character really going to be stuck on this, or does she need to kind of shift her focus over a little bit to some, you've got bigger fish to fry here. And when it got to like the end and things started getting really crazy and hectic, at that point I just didn't care anymore, and I thought it was going to end up being way better than it was, and I just was disappointed. So yeah, 2 stars. Sorry. I also wanted to mention too that her sister is also an author, Andrea Bartz. This book came out first, and I thought that her sister did it better. That's some tea. It has very similar tropes in it. There's a lot of similar things I'm not going to say. I don't want to spoil anything for this book or that book, but I liked that one so much better than this one. I'm sorry, Julia. I thought your sister's book was better. And then the last category, I only have one book for this one, but it is like the book that surprised me the most. And that would be Nightbitch by Rachel Yoder. I read this book in a vlog where I was reading like weird girl books, and this was kind of a last minute throw in to my TBR, and I was so surprised. This one is very strange, don't get me wrong, but when you look at the core of this book and like what it's representing and what all of the meaning is behind all of the like magical realism-esque things going on, it's actually so raw. And like the topic that is being discussed here is something that a lot of women go through, but while they're going through these emotions and having these feelings, they feel so alone. And I feel like that's why this book was so good to me. Now, bear with me on the synopsis a little bit, guys, because I know it sounds crazy, and I know that what I'm about to explain to you just seems completely out of the blue, and you're like, what women are going through this? But keep in mind, this is magical realism. It is a metaphor. This is art. Of an unnamed female protagonist who is an artist. She is living out her dream working as a painter, as her artistic self, and she ends up having a baby with her husband. And with her baby being born, she realizes that it was hard for her to be at work and be pumping, and the kid being at daycare and stuff. So they decide to make the transition for her to be a stay-at-home mom, while her husband takes on the role as the sole financial provider for the household, and he'll go on business trips and leave while she stays home with the baby. Soon after, she starts to believe that she is turning into a dog. And that's the part that sounds really crazy, because that's where things just spiral out of control. No, I'm not saying that women are out here turning into dogs, but what I'm saying is that the metaphor of what this is representing is something that a lot of women go through, especially in postpartum and motherhood. The feelings and the raw emotion that's in this book, while I personally cannot relate, I do not have any children, I still really love to consume new mom content in general. I like to learn about motherhood. I do aspire to be a mom one day. So this kind of just struck that chord for me, where it's like horror and magical realism, but make it real, like make it mommy. I feel like if I could personally relate, and if I was a mother and I've been through this experience myself, this book probably would have made me cry. And maybe it's one that I'll revisit in the future whenever I can relate to it. But when I was done reading this, I could just sit back and be like, wow, that was a lot to think about. Like, the food for thought in this book is insane. Also, if you're interested, Hulu did a movie adaptation, and the movie was actually really good. The only thing is, I feel like if I didn't read this book before I watched the movie, that I would have been pretty confused about what was going on. A lot of it is like internal monologue. I mean, the only person that she really sees on a daily basis is a toddler, a baby, like, so a lot of it is internal monologue, and I felt like that wasn't something that was portrayed easily on screen for somebody to understand. But I did watch it with my sister, and she did not read the book, and she said the movie was a 10 out of 10. So rating this book 4 stars. I really liked it. I might revisit it far down the line in the future when I can relate to it. Maybe. It might be triggering. Who knows? All right, and then moving on to our plans for the next quarter, the last 3 months of the year. So October, November, December. As some of you guys know, I am doing the Buzzword cover and title challenge. I'm also doing an A to Z challenge, and I have my TBR jar. So my TBR jar, obviously I don't know what I'm gonna pull from there, but as far as the challenges go, I do have some stuff picked out for the Buzzword challenges, and I don't exactly want to go through all of them because there's a lot of options here. I'm interested if you guys are participating in those to see what you picked, to see if you can sway kind of what I'm thinking of. But October for the cover challenge is a book with weapons on the cover. November is food and drink, and December is monochromatic. And then for the title challenge, October is a title that has violent words in it. So like murder, kill, those are the only ones I can think of right now. And then in November, it's never, so a book with never in the title. December would be alliteration. I think I have October figured out, and this might be the only month that I actually have one book for both prompts. So I'm thinking of reading In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, but I'm not 100% sold on that. Like, if I start reading it and I'm not enjoying myself, I'll pick something else. As far as the A to Z challenge goes, the only letters that I have left are A, J, X, and then there were a couple of extra prompts at the bottom with the one that I chose. So the only one that I have left is one word title. That one's easy. I'm sure I can figure out one of those. The one that I'm really struggling with is X. So if you guys have any ideas, I read mostly horror, thriller, some romance. I do not like fantasy. I like magical realism. I mean, you get it. Pretty much all the genres that I read this last quarter, this is what I like. But right now, the one that I do have selected as a maybe would be The Book of X by Sarah Rose Etter. Let me know what you think. As far as some other books that I just have that I need to get to, I read The Last Mrs. Parrish in my most recent reading vlog where I did my Haley taste test video. And if you watched that video, you would know that I went to the library. I meant to pick up The Last Mrs. Parrish and I got The Next Mrs. Parrish. So I think I'm gonna read this one because I did really like that. I also have This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, which is the sequel to Before I Let Go. I had to pick up this sequel, so I really want to get to this one super soon because I can't wait. I can't wait to pick this up. And then this one, I am setting a goal for myself here. So you guys heard it here first. I've been putting off this book for such a long time because it has so many different perspectives, but I know a million people who recommend it. Nobody who's read this book that I've seen has hated it or has rated it negatively. Everybody says it's so good. It's like Black Mirror. So I'm gonna read The One by John Mars, and I think I'm gonna do a dedicated reading vlog to this one because in order for me to keep track of all of the characters that are in it, I think I'm gonna have to annotate it, maybe make a character tree, I don't know. But I'm hoping this one that I'll do a vlog for this sometime within these next 3 months. And then, oh my God, I seriously cannot wait to get to this book. I already know I'm gonna be reading it before the end of the year. So We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. I absolutely loved Behind Her Eyes. It still stands out as one of my favorites to this day, and I read it years ago. The show is good, but the book is better, of course. But if she can deliver me a twist like she did in that one, in this one, please, Sarah, please give me that twist, girl. I'm counting on you. I am so excited to read this book, and I'm definitely going to read it very soon. So that's only four books that I am committing myself to reading by the end of the year, and I think I can do it. So that is my quarterly wrap up for quarter 3 of 2025 and my anticipated plans for quarter 4. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know any of these books that I'm going to be reading here soon, what you thought of them. No spoilers, please. 0 spoilers. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you in the next video. Bye.